And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. 1 Samuel 3:21. Shiloh, the place of the tabernacle, the place where the ark of God rested, the place established for worship. Yet 1 Samuel 3:1 gives us a terrifying reality. The word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision. The ark was there. The priesthood was there. Sacrifices were being offered. Religious activity continued, but the word of the Lord was rare. You can have religious activity without revelation. You can have a title without spiritual authority. You can occupy a position and still lose sensitivity to the presence of God. That is the tragedy of Eli. Eli was the priest, but 1 Samuel 3:2 says, his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. His physical eyesight was failing, but the narrative also reveals a deeper spiritual problem. Eli knew what his sons Hophni and Phinehas were doing. They dishonored the sacrifices of God and committed sexual immorality with the women serving at the entrance of the tabernacle. Eli confronted them, but he failed to restrain them. God declared in 1 Samuel 2:29 that Eli had honored his sons above him. And there is the warning. Whenever maintaining human relationships becomes more important than obeying God, compromise begins to distort spiritual discernment. But God still needed somebody in Shiloh who would hear him. So God found a boy sleeping near the ark. Samuel, the child born from Hannah's desperate prayer. God called, Samuel. Samuel ran to Eli because he did not yet recognize God's voice. 1 Samuel 3:7 says, Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. Samuel was in the right place, but he had not yet learned to recognize the voice. And somebody needs to hear this. You can be in the right place and still need to learn God's voice. Samuel kept running to Eli because he thought Eli was calling him. How many times have we run to people when God was calling us himself? You keep running to another person's office, another prophet's inbox, another person's confirmation, but God is saying, I am calling you. Then something remarkable happens. Eli finally realizes what is occurring. 1 Samuel 3:8 says, Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Even in his decline, Eli recognized God's activity and told Samuel what to do. Go, lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Think about that. Eli taught Samuel how to respond to a voice he was no longer hearing himself. What a dangerous spiritual condition, to recognize what God is doing through everybody else while becoming disconnected from what he is saying to you. To become a spectator of something you once participated in. To become a commentator on a glory you once carried. But I declare that spiritual spectatorship does not have to be your permanent condition. God can restore sensitivity. God can restore obedience. God can restore communion. And here is another powerful truth. Eli could not block Samuel. Eli's failure could not cancel Samuel's calling. A compromised priesthood could not silence God's voice. A broken system could not prevent God from raising another prophet. When God determines to speak to a generation, human gatekeepers cannot silence him. When God places his hand upon a Samuel, no Eli can cancel what God has ordained. God called Samuel again. This time Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. And everything changed. 1 Samuel 3:19 says, And Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and did let none of his words fall to the ground. Then all Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, knew Samuel had been established as a prophet of the Lord. Not because Samuel had the highest title, not because Samuel had years of experience, but because Samuel learned to recognize God's voice and responded to it. So here is the question. Are you an Eli or a Samuel? Are you only recognizing God when he moves through somebody else? Or will you position yourself in his presence and say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening? Father, raise up Samuels in this generation. Raise up people who refuse to live on secondhand revelation. Give us hearts that recognize your voice and the courage to obey what you say. And have mercy upon every Eli. Expose compromise before it destroys communion. Restore what disobedience has damaged. Reopen ears that have become dull. Let your voice become clearer than the voices of people, culture, fear, ambition, and approval. And when you call our names, give us the courage to answer. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. In the name above every name, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Amen.